Yo, what is going on, boys, and welcome back to the channel once again with your boy Oscar, aka Exhausted. What we're going to be doing in today's video is we're going to be continuing with the interior restoration of Mia, my MX-5. And as you can see, in the frame is my dashboard. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be renovating the dash, making some space for gauges, doing a bit of weight reduction on it, and then finally attempting flocking once again. And I'm really hoping it goes right this time and I don't cock it up. But yeah guys, without no further ado, let's jump up, flip the camera and start working on this dashboard.
Silky beat.
Right then everyone, so I forgot to film before I actually started this. What I've actually done is I've drilled 3 holes right here, all 52mm. So if you boys know, you know what these are going to be for, if they're 52mm. But what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to flip this over because, let me just flip this over quickly. So if we have a look at the back of the dashboard, you can actually see there's loads of bits which we're not going to need anymore since we've deleted the aircon. So all of these plastic parts can actually be removed. And yeah, we're going to have to remove a load of bits anyway, because since where I drilled the holes through, which is right here, there's actually a metal part attached to the back of it. And we're going to have to take off a couple of bits and bobs so we can actually get that out, because at the moment it is safe to say it's stuck right there and we can't remove it. So I'm going to go ahead, set up a time lapse and start stripping back the back half of this. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to see how much weight we can remove from this, because weight reduction, because race car. So yeah, without no further ado, we'll set up the camera and crack on with the dash. Bam! Removed. Super stoked. Bing, 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 bing. Right guys, so we've removed all of these bits from the back of the dash, and as you can see, it's looking a lot more bare now. Now we're actually going to leave this metal support on because we want to allow it to have some sort of structural integrity rather than just being a floppy piece of plastic. So that bit's staying, and obviously all these wiring harnesses are staying too, because yeah, we need those so the car works. But yeah guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run upstairs and get my scales, and we're going to measure up how much weight we've removed from this dash. Right, now it seems all the parts we removed is roughly 1.76 kilograms, if my scales are accurate, which hopefully they are. But yeah, doesn't seem like a lot, but in the scheme of things, it's a light car. And throughout this project, we've already removed a fair amount of weight so far already. So all of these little bits are going to add up, and are going to make a noticeable difference when I come to drive the car again. So I'm super stoked to see what it's like. But yeah guys, enough of me stripping down parts, let's get into the fun bit, flocking the dash. And just a quick pointer everyone, if you didn't see one of my more recent videos, the flock fail on the door cards, be sure to watch that before you do this, because there's a couple of tips in that video which are really important and show you basically what I did wrong when I did that and what we're going to do this time in order to stop those issues from happening again. But anyway, we're going to flip the camera lads and get into doing some flocking. Right boys, so what I've done is I spent the last 20 minutes or half an hour, quite tedious, just literally taping off every single wiring harness to ensure we don't get any flock or anything in there. Now it doesn't look like I've done a lot, but if we come round to the back, you can see under here, yeah, look at all that tape, and I've taped it all up there to that bar, so it's not sitting on the floor, because obviously the flock's going to fall down onto the floor, and I thought if they're sitting on the floor they might still find their way in there. So yeah, that's just to be safe boys, to ensure we don't mess up any of these connections, because that would be a nightmare. We really don't want to put everything back together and something doesn't work, because then, yeah, it's just a bit of a tedious job to find out what it is. But yeah boys, it's 7:30 in the morning and I am absolutely starving. So before we crack on with the flocking, we're going to go inside and make a cheeky bacon butty. Bish bash bosh. Wah 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 wah. Banging. Wow, that bacon sarnie was absolutely banging. But yeah, now I've eaten, what we're going to do is we're going to start flocking the dash. And first things first is we're going to basically use something to remove any wax or grease off there. Now normally you'd use a wax or grease remover, but since I don't have any of that left, I'm going to use glass cleaner, which does the exact same job basically. I've done it before and it's worked perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead, spray this down, give it a nice clean, and then when it dries, which will be fairly quickly, we can go ahead and apply our adhesive. As you can see, this looks so nice and clean on the top. Now we're just going to wait for that to evaporate. What we're going to do is, I'm not sure whether we're going to flock these side bits yet. We're not going to do them straight away. So I'm going to go ahead and basically mask that off just over here so nothing drips down. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on both sides. Now we're not going to need to mask anything at the front because if it does drip down onto this gets covered by the pad at the front anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and mask off both sides and then we'll catch up. So guys, the things we get in our flocking kit is a bag of flock. I've gone with black because it's going to go with the colour scheme which we're going for in the interior. You also get some flocking adhesive, so I've got two here. This is basically meant to be black. It looks a bit blue last time, but yeah, some adhesive. A flocking applicator. Now I'm not going to talk about this in much detail, but if you watched the last video, the flocking fail, I'll talk about how terrible this is in that video. And you also get a brush. Now this brush we don't want anymore, so that's going to go straight into the bin. What a shot. And then we are basically going to be using a foam roller to apply the adhesive. So I just picked this one up from Poundland because it's cheap and you can't really go wrong with a bit of foam in the tray. So there's no point splashing that one of those, just a waste of money. We've got these two. Now since these ones are from Poundland, they're going in the bin because I think if I use these little bits of fluff would come off, or I can pull them off really easily. So that would come off in the paint. So they're both going in the bin. First one in, second one flopped. And we're going to go ahead, get one of our foam rollers, put onto the side, and attach that straight on to here, like so. Now we've got our foam roller and our tray, which I'm going to put down here. When we're doing the flocking, this glue has a skin time of 5 to 10 minutes within a sort of 19 to 21 degree temperature range. So as soon as we start working with this, we want to be very quick before we start applying the flock. So there's only a couple of minutes which you've got to work with this. Now you don't want to get this wrong because like I did in the last video, I cocked it up and now I need to wrap over it because I can't go ahead and re-flock it once it's dry. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put this in here, I'm going to set up a time lapse. We're going to give it a very light coat of the adhesive because too much, like last time, will show through the flock. And then we're going to go ahead and apply the flock. Now what I'm going to do to apply the flock, I did modify one of these bottles in the last video using a little sieve around the top. Link will be somewhere up there if you want to watch that in a bit more detail so you understand what I mean. And we're going to be using one of those. And what also seemed to work quite well is literally just the sieve. And just tap it and that applies a lot more flock than you could through this bad boy. So the sieve is the way. But yeah, without no further ado, let's set up the camera and flock this dashboard. And fingers crossed I don't flock it up this time. Right guys, now this looks to have gone a lot better than the previous attempt. Now as you can see, there is a real thick layer on here and most of this is going to be dusted off once it's dry. But we're going to leave this now. We're going to leave it for about 2 days because I don't want to mess it up. We're going to leave this for as long as it possibly can and then we're going to go ahead and blow off any of the bits which we don't want anymore. So there's, like I was saying, way too much on here. But yeah, pretty stoked with hopefully how this is going to turn out when it's finished, guys. Right then boys, like you saw in that time lapse, we've just started and basically finished flocking the dash. I'm super stoked. It looks to have turned out 10 times better with the foam roller than it did in the last video. But of course we're not going to know until it dries and we blow off the excess to see what it actually looks like. But yeah, I'm going to flip the camera and show you basically where we're at the moment, and then we'll catch up in a few hours when it's dry and show you the results. So lads, as you can see, our dash has got a load of flock all over it. Looking really nice. What I've also done is I've flocked this little surround, which as you can see there's so much on there, but the more the merrier. We can always brush off what doesn't stick after, because we're going to have our like metallic black gauge cluster hood thing, which is going to go there, then that flock bit there. So yeah, you're starting to get an idea of what the interior is going to look like when it's completely back together, guys. But wow, I can't wait for these to be ready. Now we're going to leave these for at least 10 hours before you touch them. Don't even bother touching anything for that sort of time frame, but you should allow 24 hours for a full cure. So yeah, we're going to leave this till tomorrow, basically, till a similar time, before I come back and catch up with you boys. We'll leave it there and we'll catch up tomorrow. Good morning everyone, I've just woken up, it's the following day and we are going to crack on with the dash flocking. So if I flip the camera, I'm going to show you what it looks like before we blow off any excess and look at the final finish before reinstalling it back into Mia. So as you guys can see, it looks pretty much identical to what it did yesterday. So I'm going to set up the camera and film a little time lapse, and we're basically going to remove any excess flock from all of these. And then yeah, we'll pick up the camera again and show you the final finish. So guys, as you can see in that video, the flock on the dashboard is finally done after a long wait, waiting for the adhesive to cure. And I am super stoked with the results. It looks 10 times better than it did when we did it previously on the door trims using the paintbrush. And for that, I'd highly recommend using a foam roller and to throw away your paintbrush, which comes with the kit, because that ruined the last job for sure. But yeah, as you can see, I'm super stoked and super hyped to get these straight back into the car. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clean up the area so we don't get some excess flock all over the MX-5, which is nice and clean now. And then we're going to go ahead and reinstall this back into the car. Right then everyone, on second thoughts, we're not actually going to be able to put the dash back in today. And that is basically because we need to finish the front pad and install the gauges, because it's going to be a nightmare to wire them all up when it's already inside the car. It'll be easier to attach them all in, attach the wires in and use some butt connectors, and then yeah, we could just crimp them in once it's in the car, which will be 10 times easier. So I'm gonna have to wait a couple of days for a couple more bits to come in the post. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the video there. Massive thanks for watching. If you're new here, don't forget, as always, to subscribe down below and turn on the notification bell if you're already subscribed to be automatically updated whenever I upload. And yeah, until the next one guys, adios.